Hi, this is Superintendent Tom Hosler, and welcome to our podcast outlining the one-to-one technology pilot program that we will be starting next school year. I'm going to take about 5 to 10 minutes and quickly walk you through some general information. And the parent presentations that we had, the presentation took just about an hour. So if you have any further questions or things that maybe we didn't touch on, please feel free to give me a call in the office or shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to respond to those right away. The great quote from John Dewey, educational philosopher, said that if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. And we understand that students and learning in the workplace, in the world that we live in, has changed dramatically just in the last 10 years. But yet, as an educational institution, we're continuing to do things like we've always done them. And that's problematic for us. And that led us to the conversation of what can we do with technology and what role should technology have in the classroom. And then we've had some other things happen that have really pushed us along and pushed that conversation along. In grades 3 through 11, beginning in 2014, every student will take an online assessment. Now, no longer will we take the number 2 lead pencils and the bubble sheets and that kind of a test, but students will have to read long passages online. Students will be required to respond answers, typing those responses online, and also clicking and dragging information to support those answers. It's a very different kind of test. It's not just hitting the A, B, C, or D key for the right answer, but it is manipulating the machine to enable them to respond and to share information. Also, in 2015, the ACT will be administered online. For those families that have had students go through and enter the college world, you know that the ACT is very important in determining where students go and how much money that they'll receive from scholarships. So getting our students these devices in their hands is essential in helping them secure a better future. Currently right now we're spending time getting students in even early ages that exposure. It's incredible to think about the fact that 65% of today's students will be entering a job that doesn't exist. So no longer are we preparing students just for that job or that career, but we're focused on giving kids the skills that they'll need to respond to any type of jobs that often aren't even dreamed about yet. So we know that traditional public schools have been slow to change and slow to embrace changes in the classroom. We know that competition is a good thing and we welcome it. We want parents to have choice, and we think that in Perrysburg we're the best choice. And we know that technology continues to be something that parents are looking at in terms of what are you providing for my student as we move forward with the future. And we know that despite the uncertainty that comes with school funding, we know that we need to continue to make investments in technology to remain competitive, to keep our kids in a place where they have options, and great options, as they graduate from Perrysburg High School. During our pilot, we visited many schools, and many of them are listed here. Districts that we visited have been doing this for some time, multiple years. And many of the districts are very different than ours. Some are wealthier and have different kinds of students than we have. Others are rural. But the one common denominator is they all have students and they all have teachers. And they've used technology on a daily basis in the classroom, and this is something that was important to us as we went out and visited. We also know that there's districts that have implemented this year or soon will be implementing, and just off the top of my head, 2 districts, Eastwood handed out laptops this year to all of their high school students, and Ottawa Hills is looking to launch next fall. So this is something that isn't even new. It isn't even something that I would consider to be cutting edge. It's just something that schools are beginning to do because that is where students need to be. Our program will be a pilot. Grades 5th, 8th, and 9th will be given, students in those grades will be given a device, and those devices will be used in the classroom every single day. At the end of this year, we'll be evaluating the effectiveness of those devices with Bowling Green State University, and that will help guide us in terms of making decisions in the future as to how this is working. Is it meeting our students' needs? Is it meeting our staff's needs? And which devices are most effective for what we want to use? Speaking of devices, ninth graders will be given a MacBook Air, which is a traditional laptop. Fifth and eighth graders will be given a Samsung Chromebook, which is really a hybrid between a tablet like an iPad and a laptop. The total cost of these devices will be $563,000. It's a lot of money. But as a school district, we spend almost $40 million a year out of our budget to operate. So it represents just 1.5% of our total operating budget. We know that being invested in technology is something that is very, very important to us as we move forward. And frankly, we have to spend these dollars to invest in our students' future. Some subtle differences between these devices. The Chromebook and the MacBook Airs are different types of devices. So people that say that they're the same and they cost differently, well, they cost differently, that's true, but certainly they're not the same. The Chromebook is a web browsing machine. Again, I think it's the hybrid of a tablet and a laptop. Students will be able to engage the internet with these devices and interface with and interact with any web-based programs that are out there for learning. So many of the math programs and reading programs you'll be able to access those using these devices. You will also be able to access Google Docs and create and compose papers, presentations using Google Docs. Share those with your classmates. But you cannot store those on the device itself. It's incapable of doing that. The MacBook is a traditional computer. The reason that we have MacBooks going to the high school is that the students are required to do more complicated assignments. That certainly is something that having different types of software, the different types of functionality. In fact, this PowerPoint and podcast is created on one of these MacBooks. So students will have the ability to do this kind of work, which is essential in looking at what they're being asked to do in college. Damaged devices, right now we're looking at having a self-insured program. So there's a couple features with that. We're looking at charging an assessment $25 for Chromebooks, and we're working on the amount that we'll do for the Macs. The Chromebooks are devices that we are estimating will have a 3-year life before we refresh. And the Macs we're looking at 4 years. Families that pay those assessments will be able to take those devices home. If those devices are damaged, that amount will go towards that deductible and covering replacing that device. Students that choose not to want to take the device home won't have to pay the fee, but they will not be able to take that device home. Right now, students that do pay that device and don't do anything malicious to those computers, at the end of 3 years with the Google Chromebooks and the end of 4 years, we'll be able to keep those devices. So there is a little bit of a payback as we move forward with this program. Filtering is something that's very important. To us as a school district, we have computers on our site. They are live to the internet, and we do filter all of them through a program that we have called iBoss. And it's a very good filter, and as these devices go home, we remain the administrators of those devices. So students can't download things onto those devices or software programs. And when they hit the internet, they are directly routed back to our server. So no matter where they go in the world, they will be routed through our filtering system with our servers here in the district. Parents need to remain vigilant in terms of monitoring their students at all times. We know there's going to be many positive outcomes, but certainly when you have a quality teacher who are given these devices and the support to use them well, we know they're going to do great things with this. And likewise, we know students are going to take these devices and thrive using them. We know that it is a great combination in terms of what we want to do in the future. We're also putting in a learning management system where students and parents will be able to access all the materials and resources that are available to students 24/7. So on Saturday night, you want to download that PowerPoint that the teacher showed last Thursday to review it. It'll be there. The information, the short video clip that the teacher showed in class, maybe you had to step out of class, it's posted. You're going to be able to watch that. Some teachers will even have the capability of recording themselves doing their lesson on their smartboard, outlining that math solution. You'll be able to watch that over and over again until you understand it. So there's some great things that can happen with what we call flipping the classroom. We also know that there's going to be some challenges. And we know that some teachers are going to run with this, and we know that some will crawl at first. We know we'll be dealing with supporting these devices, and we know that adding these devices to the classroom is going to need to have our teachers be a little more attentive to what students are doing, which they should be anyway. But with these devices, monitoring what's happening certainly is going to be a change. Textbook replacements are very, very expensive. A new textbook ranges between $80 and $150. That's huge when we're buying 400 at a shot for just one grade level. We know that textbook publishers are slowly moving towards doing online work. We know that some courses, and Mr. Nate Ash, our AP Physics teacher at Perrysburg High School, a phenomenal teacher, doesn't use a textbook. Pulls in resources from many different sources, makes them available online, and that's how he teaches. And the students who take his class do very well on the AP test, get college credit, and continue to go on and have great academic careers. But we know that the traditional textbook that we're so used to, that is so costly, and as we unpacked our last science textbook adoption, we learned that Pluto was no longer a planet, which made a passage or a couple pages there obsolete. Information is changing dramatically. Speaking of dramatic changes, this is a picture from one of our yearbooks here in Perrysburg. And this was an advancement from what students had before. Prior to this, they were learning in a one-room schoolhouse with a slate and a piece of chalk and a cloth. That was what they had. Students here began to use other sources to share communication. That's how they shared information. And you can see in this picture, again, 1950s, that locker actually could look like many of our lockers today, with the number of textbooks and notebooks and paper, and that's how students have learned, and that's not how students are wired today moving forward. Education doesn't look like this today. It's changed. Students' learning tendencies have changed. Where they learn and how they learn have changed very much. There's been an evolution in technology, from the chalkboard and the slate to globes and maps that were mounted in every classroom, to typewriters and having a big part of our curriculum centered around typewriting, because we knew that was an important skill in the business world. Well, today it's hard to find a typewriter in the business world, but you'll find one of these almost everywhere. And these are the devices that are becoming more and more common in the work world, and as a result we need to see them more and more in the schools. Education has come a long way, and we know that with the help of technology, and more importantly quality teachers, but with technology in the hands of quality teachers, we know that we can go to students where they are academically and to that place, and to give them that individual attention to move them forward at their pace. And that's remarkable. We know that technology can be interactive. This student is standing at a smartboard and is able to click and move things. We know that with laptops into this situation, students will be able to post things onto the smartboard, and the teacher will be able to see what every student is doing. So there's some great advancements in technology. Technology is oftentimes seen as a threat. But really, it's an extension of what we're doing, and that is providing kids with a quality education. We're ensuring that every student achieves their greatest potential, and we know that technology and these devices are vital to where we need to take students in the future. If you have any questions or any additional comments, I would welcome them, and please feel free to contact me. But thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall.